Welcome to the Shrink Wrap Show. I'm Pam Hernandez-Kaufman.
And I'm Tahliah Peak. We're two shrinks bringing you holistic health hacks.
With our 30 years of combined experience in therapy, we share helpful information about common issues that everyone faces.
Then we break down powerful, proven tools you can start using right away to better your life and your relationships.
Let's wrap. Welcome back to the Shrink Wrap Show. We are excited to talk to you today about a really important topic that comes up all the time with just a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Not everybody, but a lot of people. Codependency.
Oh, yeah. The big coda word.
Really misused word. A lot of people think it has to do with like co-parenting, we're parenting together, that codependency is we're depending on one another. Nah, that's interdependence. That's a good thing. But codependency is, well, we define it as taking
your pulse on someone else's wrist
instead of your own. And, you know, the belief is that this comes from needing to have learned in childhood to be a reader of energy.
Yeah.
Like, if I can figure out how to make you happy, maybe I'll get my need met.
Right.
And so I end up being so much involved in fixing you, attending to your needs. Mm-hmm. I'm so in tune with what you're about that I may not even know what I'm about at all.
Right, right.
So this is not helpful. And we often find that codependent people are super helpful, generous people. They're planning oriented, of course. They
put everything on their plate.
They put too much on their plate.
Yeah.
And the idea is for a codependent, if you're okay, I can be okay.
Right.
And so, again, this is not helpful because they're not in their own lives. Mm-hmm. They're in someone else's. And they may not even know what their feelings are. They may not even know what their likes and dislikes are. So we want them to stop taking their pulse on someone else's wrist and use their own, right? And so one of the things that needs to happen is to recognize, hey, maybe I behaved this way, and maybe it was out of necessity at a certain point in time that served me because I needed to survive.
Right.
But it no longer serves. It doesn't work any longer. And so it's really learning, I've got to implement different boundaries.
Right.
I have to start to learn what can you do for yourself and what do I need for myself. Does that all make sense?
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting because when we talk about trauma responses, the fight, flight, freeze, and then there's fawn. And fawning is a way of codependency. It's I'm having to do what I can do to make sure that I survive and make sure that the other person's okay. So I don't get hurt.
100%. So, yes, I'm going to learn what it is that I need to do or say so that you'll be okay. So we see codependency a lot in any kind of dysfunctional home. Mm-hmm. There's an alcoholic in the family. Mm-hmm. There's someone who has some other kind of addiction. And so the person who's attempting just to get their needs met will learn to read all of these cues, all of these signs. And because they're spending so much time and energy invested in all of that, they haven't developed the skills necessary to know who they are.
Yeah.
So we want to suggest to people that to cure this, to work on addressing it, become self-focused.
Right.
Learn what you're about.
Yeah, learn autonomy.
Become a studier of yourself. Learn autonomy. Mm-hmm. There are a couple of great books that we love, right?
Yes,
that we like to recommend to people. So probably Melody Beatty is the quintessential author on codependency, and so Codependent No More is a great read for anyone who thinks, that sounds a little bit like me.
Yeah.
She also has a wonderful daily read that's called The Language of Letting Go. And the language of letting go for people who, a client told me today, I don't like to read. I'm not going to read that whole book. And I said, then get the language of letting go because you're clearly codependent. Yeah. And so you can just do a tiny little, almost a coda devotional type sized reading and begin to rehearse what Codependence Anonymous teaches us, which is I can't cure it, can't control it, didn't cause it.
Right.
But I can practice self-care.
Yeah, yeah. And other ways. There's CODA groups. There's CODA support groups.
We love the 12-step groups.
Yeah,
You can find
they're
CODA groups
helpful.
all over the country, all over the world.
Yeah.
So looking up a Codependence Anonymous group can be another helpful reinforcer.
Right.
Finding others like you who struggle and who have some ideas that can maybe be helpful to you.
Yeah.
Pia Melody is another. I don't know what the Melody thing's about.
I know, right?
Melody Baby, Pia Melody, but Pia Melody facing codependency.
Yeah.
Also has a workbook, and we like her also. She knows her stuff. So the health hack really here for codependency is get in your own life.
Yeah.
And get out of theirs. Get in your own.
Yeah. Get a life.
Get a life. And
Check in with yourself. Check in with what is it that you actually like about yourself? What kind of interests do you have that you like? It's not their interest. What are some things that you want in life, not the other person?
You're not an appendage.
Yeah.
You're a separate entity. And this may be work from the ground up.
Yeah.
Right? This person might not even know that's my favorite color. This is what I like to wear. This is the music
I like
I
chocolate ice cream.
or I don't.
Yeah,
right? And so it may be an unlearning process that goes on.
Yeah.
Well, T, we wanted to go over with them a couple of these. These are indicators that you're learning how to let go.
Yeah,
the language of letting go. And so one of the things is this, allowing other people to face the consequences of their own actions.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of taking responsibility for them, instead of making excuses for them, you just let the chips fall where they might.
Yeah.
And this is sounds easy.
Yeah.
It is not easy for the person who has learned this is my job. This is what I'm supposed to do. And it's not going to feel comfortable in the beginning any more than boundaries, as I begin to put a boundary in place, is comfortable. Not for me and not for certainly the person on the other side of my relationship.
Right.
But it gets more comfortable as we practice this more and more because of neuroplasticity. My brain can learn new ways to function, new directions to travel, create new neural pathways. And as that happens, I no longer tend to immediately go in that other more natural, what has been more instinctual for me to go.
Yeah.
Well, next on the list we have, you start to feel a little bit irritable or agitated when you think about some of the things that have been done to you.
Yeah.
And you might swing really wide over into anger.
Yeah.
Until you come over into this more middle ground or swing over into sad for a while as you realize, wow.
I actually have emotions.
I actually have a me.
Yeah.
I actually am a me. And so there may be some really complicated feelings that happen in there for a while until you sort of negotiate your position in that middle place. Next, you stop feeling like you have to rationalize someone else's behavior.
Right.
Because that's not your job.
Yeah.
And you begin to stop getting out of the middle of things and notice, oh, that's a triangulated relationship right there.
Right.
Or that's not my job, that's theirs.
Right. They have a choice.
They have a choice. Well, and as we've said before, you're starting to pay attention to you. So you now give your own needs some value and certainly some attention, right?
Yeah.
And again, that might feel completely uncomfortable. Oftentimes people feel like self-care is selfish.
Right.
And we're going to talk about that
Yeah.
at some point on one of these, aren't we?
Right.
Because it's not, it's necessary.
Yeah.
We cannot function over the long term if we don't practice self-care.
Exactly.
Oh, how about this one? You stop letting other people's bad moods or nasty comments ruin your day.
Yeah.
All right, so you hear something,
Yeah.
and instead of it just digging deep and you beginning to question, is it true? Why'd they say that? I need to tell them that's not true.
Yeah.
Hey, my daughter said to me the other day, you're just a cranky old woman. She might be listening to this and get upset. And I thought, is she hungry, angry, lonely, tired, sick, stressed? Well, it was 11 at night, so it was probably several of those.
Yeah.
And I just said, all right, well, she doesn't really know what's been going on with me and how the dog was jumping on me and then the vacuum cleaner was going and then I had a hard day with clients and all of those things were going on and my eye was healing. So she didn't really know what my deal was.
Right.
And is that true? No. I'm getting older. I do hate talking about that. But I'm not cranky.
You're not an old cranky lady.
So I was able to say, That's on her. And I'm not taking my pulse on her wrist ever.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Next we have, you accept the fact that you can't change anybody.
Right.
And you stop trying.
Yeah. I think of the serenity prayer in that, Like,
that's the perfect mantra is, hey, God help me understand what I can change and what I can't.
Exactly.
And give me some wisdom to know the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as somebody's working on this codependent issue, it will be some work.
Yeah.
They'll have to sort through, is that my responsibility? Can I actually change that? Can I affect a change, or is that their area,
right?
Their lane,
their part?
Do I need to get out of it? Their part.
Yeah.
So again, it gets better, it gets easier, but it takes practice, just like any of these other things. Oh, how about walking away when somebody goes south?
Yeah.
That's an unhealthy behavior, or that's a conversation I don't want to have. So no, you know what? When you can talk in a different way to me, I'll be over here.
Right. Yeah.
And I begin to, again, use those boundaries because I don't have to take that all in.
Yeah. Boundaries and assertiveness in that.
Boundaries and assertiveness for sure. Unhealthy verbal and other behaviors, they don't bother me to the extent that they used to. So my self-esteem remains intact.
Yeah.
What you think of me is important to me, but it doesn't define me.
Right.
And your thoughts toward me are likely going to change a lot, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't go deep into this pit of despair, which reminds me of the Princess Bride movie, which I love.
Aw.
Yeah.
The pit of despair.
And lastly, you find yourself spending less and less time worrying about the outcome of situations, what other people are doing,
right.
thinking, saying their decisions. Again, you input when you can. You mind your own yard.
Right. You're not going too far into anxiety, the future, or too far in the past.
Exactly. You're staying
depression.
right in your lane. Oh, and in the present. And bring
Yeah.
myself back into the present,
Yeah.
So we hope that's helpful today.
Yeah.
In facing codependency, recognizing when that's something that needs to be addressed in your own life, and recognizing, too, that it's pretty common. Many of us learned how to take our pulse on someone else's wrist, and now we have to unlearn that and take our own pulse.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you soon.
See you soon.
On The Shrink Wrap Show.
We're so glad you joined us today on The Shrink Wrap Show.
If you enjoyed this episode or found it helpful, remember to hit the subscribe button, the like button, and share the show with people you care about.
Also, your feedback is valuable, so leave a comment, question, or suggestion, and we'll see you next time
on The Shrink Wrap Show.